Lucy, have you seen this ship before?
It's very nice.
All right, so we finally get a trailer for Voyage of the Dawn trailer that looks like more like an actual trailer. The other one I called a series of random images strung together in a sequence. This one we get a lot more information about the plot and what they've done to the story. You can almost see why, one of the reasons they might have been reluctant to reveal more about the story in the first trailer, just because they've definitely changed it a lot from the book. Maybe they wanted to say, hey, let's get some more positive hype before we really reveal what we've done to the story. Now, just like I said at the beginning of my first trailer analysis, the quality of the trailer doesn't really matter. The first trailer was just a terrible trailer, I thought, as a piece of marketing, as it just looked like junk to me. But ultimately, it's the movie we care about, obviously. Who cares, ultimately, if it's a good trailer? And so the best way to determine what have they actually done to this story, as best as we can tell, is go through the trailer shot by shot and deconstruct the trailer and say, okay, what is actually going on in this shot? So I'm just going to go through this shot by shot and basically see what have they done to this. As best as we can tell, how are they handling what might be my favorite book ever, C.S. Lewis's Voyage of the Dawn treader. Let's see what they've done. 20th Century Fox, World Media. It's got some leaked script stuff here again with the groceries. And Lucy looking into the mirror, probably going to set up her arc with, wanting to look beautiful like Susan. And looks like they cleaned up the audio there. No, it used to snow. I've seen all this in the first trailer. Still a cool shot. Epic shot of the Dawn treader. We have Harry Gregson Williams' music from Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Coming up over on board here. King and Queen of Narnia. Now, the reason I stop here is that this video is basically going to be a combination of a trailer analysis and my thoughts on the movie storybook summary. The movie storybook, a very condensed version of the story. That we have to be very careful how much we nitpick it, but we're going to do it anyway because it's all the information we got. But very condensed, summarized version of the story. And in that one, I think that's where it was. And I think it might have been a couple reports as well, where we had reports of Caspian saying that Edmund was the High King. I think it's the High Kings and Queens of Narnia, which is not true. It's not like, oh, Peter's gone, now Edmund, you're the new High King. There's never any implication of that in the book. You've got these group of kings and queens, and Peter is kind of the deciding vote, basically. He's the High King. So it's nice. Now, it could just be editing. It could be they will say High King in the movie, but nice to see here that we're not hearing that.
Repeat Chief!
Your Majesty.
Repeat Chief, of course.
You're on the Dome Treader.
You're on the Dome Treader. Kind of cheesy. Will Poulter, and I'm going to talk about, we're going to start getting into some negative stuff pretty soon here, but Will Poulter, I think, is probably one of the single biggest reasons why I'm not in despair about this movie right now. Because his performance looks so perfect. He's just perfect for Eustace. I was always excited about Will Poulter. I always thought he was going to do a good job. But just seeing this trailer, just this line here, where in the blazes am I? The way he says it with obviously anger and shock. But there's also an air of condescension about it.
Where in the blazes am I?
Where he's kind of like, this is some kind of traveling circus. You people are crazy. Where in the blazes am I? He's just, I described in my last video Will Poulter's performance as being fearless. It's like he just jumps in, 2 feet in, holds nothing back, and just goes for it. A lot of the time that doesn't work. This time I think it's really going to work. He just captures so much of what I remember about Eustace. He doesn't have dark hair like Eustace, but it doesn't matter. He really gets the character right. Now, so just about everything I've seen of Eustace sounds really great, like they've really gotten the character. There's even some changes they made that I'm like, wow, I really think that's going to bring out who the character is in the book here. Except for not so much the dragoning, but the undragoning is the biggest part I'm worried about. I'm going to talk about that towards the end of the trailer. But Will Poulter, 2 huge thumbs up. I think he's going to be fantastic. He might be the best part of the movie, just like I thought Repeat Chief was the best part of Prince Caspian. They got the characters so right. Eustace might be the best part of this movie. Really fantastic casting. Really looking forward to Will Poulter. And he faints. Kind of stupid humor here. A lot of editing going on here. Kind of a dumb joke.
Epic masterpiece.
Really excellent visual here. I've always said, that when visualizing The World's End, you can't recreate what Lewis writes, exactly. It will never look as good as what you see in your head when Lewis describes it. It's just not even worth trying. It would just be overload, I think. So you have to find some form of simplicity, I've always said. And this, to me, is very evocative as far as it looks like you got the boat that kind of goes up on the shore here. And then there's a beach that's kind of a divide, and then the water that's strangely going backwards, At first glance, it doesn't look all that unusual. Then it's like, oh, the water is going up, Just a nice, simple image. The idea of just coming to the world's end and you can't go any further. That's it. If they've really set up that whole idea of the awe and excitement of sailing into the unknown places, I think this is going to really be probably a very satisfying kind of climax there. Like, well, we can't go any further. That's such a weird idea of not being able to go any further. You're at the end, you know? It's implied, not implied, but Repeat Sheep always imagines Narnia, the world it's in, as being flat. It's never really made clear if that's actually the case, but apparently you can actually come to the end and now you can't go any further and that's it. And so this is this whole scene looks visually amazing. The whole movie really looks visually just like great, interesting, and like everything a Voyage to the Dawn Treader movie should be, very exciting. This whole sequence just looks great. Pretty good CG Aslan there, I think. Some people don't like it. I think it looks good. Is that a mermaid or what? And here's Ramandu's daughter beaming down.
Travelers of Narnia, I am your guide.
You are most beautiful.
If it is a distraction for you, I can change form.
No.
Yeah, I think Lucy's expression there kind of sums up my reaction to this. It's just, this does not belong in a Narnia movie. UGO.com described the first two films as being like, you know, passable Lord of the Rings knockoffs. Now, I would not call them that. They're not Lord of the Rings knockoffs. Certainly the reason they were made, I think, was to capitalize on the success of Lord of the Rings. And yeah, there's an influence there. Knockoffs, no, I wouldn't say that. This one really, and I said this about the first trailer, it really is kind of coming across as Pirates of the Caribbean mixed with Harry Potter. Just trying to capitalize on the success. That's the audience they're really trying to go for. And what's something those two franchises really have in common? Sexual tension that's going to make us giggle. And they had a lot of that in the Half-Blood Prince movie especially. It got pretty stupid, actually, with Harry and Ginny. It was so shallow, it didn't even make any sense. And in Pirates of the Caribbean, of course, you know, Jack Sparrow and Elizabeth pretty much through the whole series. It's just one of those things you got to have in a Hollywood movie. Another part of it is that I think Hollywood can't fathom the idea that maybe people could fall in love pretty quickly for reasons other than physical attractiveness. You know, and then, of course, kind of interesting having Lucy's whole arc with, you know, she thinks she has to be beautiful, maybe guys learning that she doesn't have to be, or being okay with that. And now they've got this, you know, that Hollywood can't fathom the idea that, you know, Eowyn and Faramir, the extended cut of Return of the King, they have this scene where they fall in love kind of quickly. It's kind of subtle, it's not a big thing, you know, and to an extent you're always going to be stretching it, but I think it works. Another thing that, and people are probably going to call me out on this and say, hey, Caspian and Ramandu's daughter fall in love really quickly in the book, what's your problem? Well, first off, I don't think it's just because of physical attractiveness. I think that when he talks about basically wanting to kiss her, it's really more about him, another way of saying, you know, that he wants to be with her is all he's saying. Read through it in the book before posting a comment about that. And the way it is in the book is just a little more subtle and nuanced. It ties into the main theme of the story with Caspian finding his heart's true desire. Maybe that would be a little extreme, but Caspian certainly finding something, going to the world's end and returning with something. I always got the sense reading the book that Caspian maybe had some sense of Ramandu's daughter, or had some kind of desire for her, or something involving her before getting there, and then he got there and realized, this is what I've been wanting, and maybe he didn't even know it. And which is one of the things that was interesting about the leaked script, is that Caspian is having dreams of Stargirl, they call her, you know, Ramandu's daughter, before they meet. Maybe that would have been kind of a cheesy way to do it, because some of that might have survived, we'll see. But the idea of Caspian having some sense of her before they meet, it was something I thought was interesting. Maybe it's probably better left untold, but if they want to expand on that and explore it, okay, you know, I think that's something that I think is interesting. But this here is just so shallow. You know, even like Harry and Ginny in the Harry Potter movies, and even in the books, I think too, just like there's just nothing. It's just they decide to hook up just because. In the books, you have Caspian being hinted at that maybe there was something else. It just ties into the theme of the story of the longing for your true home, your destiny, and then the joy of finding it. It ties into that. It's more subtle, it's more nuanced, and here it's just, I think you're hot. And that's it. Shallow, stupid, mindless, and doesn't belong in a Narnia movie. It's one of the things I was kind of looking forward to that they wouldn't have in a Narnia movie. Now they're having it. Suspian was bad enough. You got to wonder, what if they hadn't said, like, no, immediately, and she had changed form? Like, if it's a distraction for you, I can change form. Bang, and just did it before they could say anything. What, would she have changed? Would she have gained 150 pounds, or what would she have done? I mean, imagine like Caspian would have just gone, no, no, please, change back, be hotter. I liked you better, hotter, please, I want to be able to look at you. And then Edmund's saying, yeah, have brown hair this time. Also, a big part of the book, I think, Lewis can get away with this because Lewis does a really good job at setting the story up as a fairy tale, something that's mythical maybe. And you can get away, it's much easier to get away with things like that in a fairy tale. Now, that's not like that's a get out of jail free card. It's really hard to set something up as a fairy tale, make the audience buy into that. But now here they're going for more of a realistic, you know, kind of, in the other movies they've gone for a more realistic, more grounded approach. If they continue that, then they're going to have a hard time selling this. But Lewis just makes you so firmly believe in this fairy tale world that it's one of the things that he can get away with. So, but just the main thing is that this doesn't belong in a Narnia movie. In the book it's subtle, it's nuanced, ties into the theme of the story. Here it's silly, cheap, immature. Not a fan of it. Moving on.
There is the source of your trouble. You mean a witch? Something far more powerful than a witch.
So he says something far more powerful than a witch. Now the first time through I was like, wait, so he's saying there isn't going to be a witch? You know, comingsoon.net reported that basically what they're trying to do throughout the journey is prevent the return of the White Witch, which is really dumb. You know, I talked about that in my last video. Why? It just, first off, I think it lessens Aslan's power, the fact that he killed her, now she keeps coming back. It kind of makes you wonder, I just had this thought, could that be the reason why they cut out part of the prophecy in Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe? Part of the prophecy in Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is that the kids filling the thrones and Aslan coming back would signal not just the end of the White Witch's reign, but of her life. They didn't have that in the movie. Did they plan on they were going to keep on bringing her back, or they thought maybe they would, so they didn't include that? Or was it just for pacing reasons? I guess more likely, I don't know. But that's the main thing, is that Aslan killed her, now she's going to keep on coming back. You know, and again, it's just more about reusing old ideas. You know, like, why can't we do something new? I have to keep on going back and recycling ideas from Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Why not keep on developing the story and the characters? But so more powerful than a witch. My first reaction was, oh, there's not going to be a witch. Oh, they're obviously pulling bits of dialogue from throughout the scene here. So you know, they could have put this together. I think there probably still is a witch, just not coming across that way here. But anyway, we'll see. Moving on here. Now, so far so good. We got the implication that there's not going to be a witch. It won't be a big part of the plot. Let's move on here.
We can steal the light from this world.
Then we will fight in the shade.
Steal the light from this world. What? Okay, first off, cheesy line. All of Koryakin's dialogue is can steal the light from this world.
Our arrows will blot out the sun.
So overdone. So, like, does he actually mean that, is he trying to be all, you know, cool and saying it can steal the light from this world? But what he really means is it can, like, kill all the good guys. It's going to wipe out Narnia. The darkness is going to consume Narnia. We basically know that at this point the Dark Island is kind of the unfathomable fate. And there were some people in Narnia in the forum theorizing about that. It sounded kind of crazy. Well, it's coming true. So, or does he mean it's literally going to, like, blot out the sun, you know, steal the light, or it's just going to, like, wipe out the good guys? I don't know. Either way, it sounds pretty cheesy. Okay, steal the light from this world. No, not sure what's going on here. Let's move on.
That sword you carry must be laid at Aslan's table. Only then can their true power be released.